Hiya folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, as you can see, I'm doing a bit of feeder fishing again today. It's quite breezy actually. The wind's sort of at 25-30 k's an hour, which is, I don't know, 20 miles an hour at times, and it's gusty, so it's kind of making things a bit difficult for me, but we're going to try and show you today a way of fishing for carp in open water with a feeder, but without clipping up, and still getting the accuracy. So distance accuracy every time. The lateral accuracy, well, I've never been great at casting anyway, but I've got a marker across out there which I'm kind of aiming at, but every time a gust comes up it pulls the feeder slightly to the right or left. So I'm not going to be able to get total accuracy from right to left because of the wind, but I should be able to get pretty much total accuracy by distance. And as I say, we're going to do it all without clipping up. And what we're going to do is we're going to use one of these. This is the Daiwa ends on line marker pen, and as you gathered we're going to mark the line, and I'll show you how to go about doing this so you don't actually have to use the line clip at all. And if you haven't got a line marker pen, because I haven't been able to get one for ages, a replacement, this is a permanent marker pen, happens to be purple because it suits my eyes, but as long as you can see it, any colour is fine. And don't worry, when we're finished, we're not going to be leaving it all on the line. It's a matter of a couple of seconds and a wipe with a cloth to get all this off using methylated spirits. But I'll show you that at the end. So I've just got myself sorted out. I've cast it out to something like 25 metres, and at the moment, admittedly, I am on the line clip because I've had all sorts of problems with cameras this morning. But enough about that for now. We don't need to be talking about my trials and tribulations with cameras, do we? Right, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to have a cup of tea, and then when I've done that, I'm going to come back to you and we're going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I've got my cup of tea, so let's show you how this actually works. As I said, I'm actually out at 25 turns on the reel, and that's sort of, I don't know, let's call it, by the time you've added the rod on, 23 metres, something like that. So that's all it is. So because I'm on the line clip already, I'm just going to cast out to the line clip like that. That's hit the line clip, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 turns and just lock the reel. Where's my rag? Oh, there's my rag. Right, take a rag and just dry the line, because these things don't really like to work on wet line. So just a couple of wipes. Now, as I say, I'm going to use this line marker pen. I'm told that you can actually use tyre markers as well, car tyre markers. I haven't been able to get hold of one, but I'm told that's the case. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just wipe on. As you can see it there, it's gone white. And what I'll do at the same time is I'm going to just do this second one, because I find I like to have somewhere, yeah, sort of 2/3 of a metre, something like that on there. Right, it's a little bit sort of sticky to start with, but it does kind of dry up a little bit. Okay, so now what's going to happen is, as I wind this on, you can probably see on the reel now, we've got a great big set of bands from the white. So I'll get some bait on and get some stuff in the sorry there. I'll get some bait on and I'll put some feed in the feeder, and we'll get cracking and show you how this works. Now today is a really difficult day to show you. As I've pointed out before, it's really windy today, and so it's going to create a bow in the line. So I'm not quite sure where that white line is going to end up, but we're going to find out in a minute, because I've never done it in this kind of wind before, and it's all a learning curve. I'm just going to put a couple of bits of corn on the hook for now. 14 hook on a hair. There we go. Right, I'm actually messing around with a flavour feeder at the moment, just doing things. We're just starting to come into spring here as we speak. It's September, so I'll just put this in. I've been messing around with this for the last few weeks because my wife's been in hospital with different operations, and this is 200 metres from my house, so this is the only place I've been. So what we're going to do, same as before, pick the marker, give it a reasonable whack and stop there. Okay, then rod in the water, down we go, and that white, hopefully you can see it on that one there, is just travelling down the rod now, because obviously we're taking up all that slack. And what's going to happen is, as the tip trims itself up, as I keep moving the reel around, that white piece of line is going to travel, there we go, that's the tip about right, not quite. Okay, it's just past the joint. I don't know if I can show you on this one. Let's see if I can bring it up a little bit. Bring that out. And it is somewhere in that region there. Can't really see what I'm doing, but hopefully you can see what's what. Put that back where it was. Now the plan is, every time I cast out, I see the line disappear, the white line disappear, and I clamp on the front. And I can get this pretty accurate. I mean, yes, it took me an hour or two to mess around when I was originally doing it, but I can get it pretty accurate. And normally, when it's not windy, that white length of line is usually just off the end of the tip and just into the water. Obviously today, because I've got that big bow, the line's in the position it is. But of course, as long as that line ends up in pretty much that same position every time, I'm at the same distance every time, and that's it. And you've got to bear in mind, I'm not fishing to a feature. This is pretty featureless, it's just a bowl that does that. So I've chosen 25 meters today because it's comfortable and because it's really windy. So that's where we're at. I'll show you more as we go along. We'll actually monitor each cast as I do it to show that it is or isn't going in the right place. But in the meantime, I'm going to finish my cup of tea. Okay, here's the next cast then. Second cast, obviously. And decent push out. And keep it down. That line was bowing tremendously. Normally, as I say, it would be just off the end of the rod tip when I do this, but as I say, as long as it ends up in the same place. There's the white piece now, and I'm actually just winding down here just to trim the tip. Got to get rid of that bow in the line. And, well, I'm actually about a metre difference. Let's put the anti-reverse on a second. The white line is now on the end of the rod tip. So I wasn't that great, but then as I say, this is a windy day, so laterally as well, I'm not that great. It's going one side or another. So I'm thinking to myself, well, all right, there's a metre difference maybe between the first cast and the second cast. You don't want it always going in exactly the same place. This is feeder fishing after all, so just trim that a little bit. So you're not going to be expecting fish to, as I say, feed on just this tiny little area. You want to just spread it around a little bit. So a metre, yeah, I can live with that. Okay, that's the 3 minutes up. And as I said, that white marker is actually where it normally should be. So maybe the first cast was slightly wrong, if you like. We'll find out now on this third cast. Okay, so this is the third cast then. Give it a decent whack and keep that down in the water. Kept that a bit straighter that time and got it into the water a bit quicker, so there's not so much of a bow as there was. And just bring this in. Right, the white is right on the end of the tip at the moment, but the tip's not properly trimmed up yet, so it's stable. Just turning the handle of the reel, and where are we? The last bit of the white is now just at the very tip of the rod. So I'm still within that sort of metre or so of where I was on the first cast, I reckon. So as I say, not totally accurate, but I don't need totally accurate. I just need to do as accurate as I can under the circumstances. It's the same for everybody. If you've got a really windy day, as I say, laterally, you're going to struggle to get total accuracy anyway. Oh, wind's gusty. Not too bad. It's only about a metre deep out there, so I've got the white line, white marker just on the tip of the rod now, so hopefully it won't take much more to get it right. So there you go. Right, tip is trimmed and there's a little bit of white sticking out of the end of the rod, which is around about where I expect it to be. As I said, once you get into the practice of this thing, it actually is relatively simple to keep it the same time between seeing the white and clamping off. It's surprising how accurate you can be. I mean, by the end of the day, I should be actually pretty much spot on, but the wind just has that effect as well. That was cast number 5, and there's the white turning up as I'm just moving the reel handle a little bit, trim the tip, and we're actually spot on. Oh dear, it just goes to show you can do things the same almost every time. When you think you're probably going to be 3 or 4 meters that way or this way or whatever, you're actually not. Now you will have to add some more of this white marker pen on eventually. It depends on how many times you cast and how many fish you catch, but it's the work of seconds just to rub a bit more on there and chuck it back out again. As I say, there's no reason why you can't use something like one of these permanent markers. Has that gone slack? What's going on? Was that me? Huh. I'm using a very light feeder at the moment. It's probably a little bit too light, but I haven't got a heavier one. So we'll have to go with what we got. But no, that wasn't a bite by the look of it. But again, as I say, the white is right on the end of the rod tip. So we're, you know, within a metre or so each time. Of course, even if you're fishing with the line clip and you think you're casting really accurately, always when you do that, you cast out, and then just before it hits the line clip, you've raised the rod up to give you a little bit of a slack line, put it in the water, and then you reel in a little bit to give you 2 or 3 turns on the thing. So again, there's going to be a little bit of difference or tolerance in that. It is going to be more accurate, but as I say, I'm not especially fussed. I think you know, a metre or so either way, not a problem. Whoa. I'm just looking behind me for a second there and I got my first bite. Luckily, I didn't have the anti-reverse on, so the rod didn't get dragged in, but I also didn't have a line clip on, so the rod didn't get dragged in, and it's only a small fish. I think it's one of those little crucian lookalikes I've mentioned before. I suspect it is anyway. Well, maybe not, maybe it's just a tiny little carp. But at least you got to see the bit where I wasn't looking, and as I say, the rod didn't actually get dragged in. Now this is actually a carp. He's just woken up down on the edge here. Didn't half wake up, didn't he? Come on. Of course, what I've just been talking about is the whole point of this way of doing it, so you don't lose all your tackle. He's a bit bigger than I thought. He's probably, actually, a couple of pound or so, but can't get my hands around his shoulders, so he's a reasonable size. There you go, look. As I say, not huge, but hey, it proved the point, didn't it? Right. And our first fish. Get set up again. And then I'm gonna have my sandwiches. I never came out until late this morning. Had to get the wife sorted out, although she's recovering nicely now. Yeah, so let's get this out there. It's a little bit sticky when you're doing this. Right, so as before then, again slightly off on the accuracy, side to side accuracy. I don't know what the distance accuracy is like. And yeah, we're just trimming up now, and we're about, hang on, see how we go. We're about exactly the same as last time actually. Actually, no, we're a little bit better this time. I'm just still moving the handle because it's still taking up all that slack from the wind. And we're right on the end of the tip now. And hopefully that's about it. Yeah, I'd say that was it. So yeah, again, that's probably within that much of where it was last time. And I go again, look, reel going backwards. I did wait that time on purpose. Let's put me, didn't have a sandwich in the end. I realised I got biscuits. But this is what it's all about. Showing you, even if you get a churner of a take, you still don't have any problems. And this is one of those little crucian lookalikes. And did you see how the way it took off originally and then didn't bother to fight on the way in? But yep, starting to get an odd fish now. Here he is, look, just in the corner. Nice little fish, I won't drop him. But yeah, hopefully we're showing you exactly how this operates now. Oops. Give this another go. Bit of accuracy that time in terms of the left to right. Let's see what we're doing on the line. Just reeling in, and yeah, we're not far off. The white part is just coming up now, and the tip is trimmed. So yeah, we're within sort of that much now of the tip, and so overall we've been sort of that to that in the last few casts. As I say, as you get more into it during the day and you cast a few times, you do get more and more accurate. That first one was a bit of an aberration, but hey. Something you might find, I don't know if you can see this too well, but sometimes when you do this and you're trimming the tip, just not going to happen here I don't think, but sometimes, oh maybe it will. Maybe it had a bit more of a bow than I first thought. Right. The handle of the reel is actually sort of sitting backwards, or it could be up like this when it's finished. In fact, this one's going to be so like that. So you'd be tempted, because the reel's going to go backwards, to put the anti-reverse on to stop it doing that. So the tip is trimmed. Okay, so that kind of defeats the object of what we're trying to do here, which is to not lose the rod and to not be clipped up. So what I do in those circumstances, I put the anti-reverse on for a second and then just allow a little bit of line out, a little bit more line out, until the handle is in a more forward position like that, and then take the anti-reverse off, because otherwise you're going to lose a fish. And this is a slightly bigger one. So you can see where we're going with this. Do not put the anti-reverse on if you aren't going to be watching it like a hawk. Something else to be aware of is, as you've seen, some of these have been real churners taking the reel backwards. You still need to concentrate on what you're doing. You can't just leave the rod and expect it to be some sort of automatic hookup sort of mechanism and then playing mechanism, because the fish, if it's taken off at a rate of knots across that way, for example, will at some point stop. And when it stops, the reel could continue to go backwards, and you are going to wind up with a huge bird's nest all around here, and then you're going to lose the fish because you're all tangled up. So just be aware that you can't just leave it. You can be a little bit slow, like I've been on purpose a couple of times here, but you really do still need to watch the bites. But you saw there, if I'd have been on the anti-reverse, literally that happened as I was just taking the anti-reverse off, we could have had a bit of an issue. Especially in a bigger fish and a faster fish. As I say, these fish, we're only just coming into spring here now in September, so it is still a bit cold, but you can always put a few fish together, can't you? This one, probably the biggest one so far, I'd guess. Can't get my hands around it, so probably about 3 pounds. So before I cast in again, I'd noticed that the white marks on the line are wearing away a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cast off the feed area and then just bring it back to the point where I can see what I'm doing and get the line back onto the spool. There we are, just there. So all I'm going to do now is just put some more of this stuff on it. Before I do that, as before, just going to dry the line and then do what I just said. Oops. It takes a second or two. And that's it. Right, so we're now ready to go for the next cast. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but if you think about it, if you'd been on the line clip and you'd had to unclip, then you've then got to find out where you're going to be, where your distance was again. So you've either got to cast out a couple of times and count the turns back, or you could use your distance sticks at the back of you, set to about, I don't know, 3 meters apart, wind it all around those and go through all that performance, or you can just chuck it out like that and do it that way. Oh, there's a churner. Oh yeah, he's off, isn't he? Yeah, way out there. I have to say it's a good clutch on this Preston magnitude, or drag rather, as they seem to call it these days. Nice and responsive. I think he'll probably wake up again as he gets underneath me. Yeah, out there even. Come on. Whenever you're ready, fish. Yeah, I thought so. Gets underneath me and disappears. Right, come on. Yeah, do like the drag on this magnitude. Specifically not using the MAP reel today with the automatic clip system, because obviously that would unclip automatically. And the whole point of this is not to use any kind of clip. Come on. He was a decent enough fish, isn't he? Come on. Come on. Oh. Yeah, he'll do. Whoops. Well, that's not a bad fish. Oh. Yeah, that's a few pounds. In fact, you know what? Being this is Den's pond and I don't catch too many big fish in here, I might just weigh this guy. Whenever he's got himself untangled from around his body. Now this net weighs £1.3, and that is £9 2 ounces. So it's just under £8 that fish, which is not bad at all. Not massive, but hey, £8, £8. And I'm happy with that. Okay, well hopefully you get the idea then, folks. It's pretty accurate. It's not going to be as accurate as a line clip, but then again, you're not going to get stuck on the line clip either, are you, this way? Hopefully I've shown you enough to get you started on this. Maybe give it a little bit of practice on a pleasure day before you go on a match. And certainly do not try and use this to go up tight to an island or a feature. For those sorts of things, like on a snake lake or whatever, on a commercial, you want to be on the line clip. This is for open water fishing only, because the fish can go anywhere. On a commercial to an island, they can go left or right, so you get a bit more room to maneuver. But I did say before I go that I'd show you how to get rid of the white stuff. Where is it? There it is. I just put that like that for a second. In fact, I'll put it onto there, so hopefully you can see it. I've just got some methylated spirits. I've just put them into this container which the wife gave me, and all you need to do is just make sure you find a dry bit, pour some onto there, and then just rub it up and down on the line, and as you can see, there's still some up there, but where I just rubbed, it's all gone. And it doesn't harm the line, by the way. I spoke to a scientist about that, my mate Mozza, and he says, nah, methylated spirits isn't going to affect nylon monofilament. So anyway, that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed it as always. If you did, please click the like button. If you want to subscribe, that's great. And until the next time, bye for now.